How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of RimWorld. Hope you guys have been enjoying the series so far. If you guys have, you guys know what to do. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing as it helps out the channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, leave those down below. And with that, let's get into today's episode. So at the end of last episode, we finished planning out where our wall would go, some more fields, set up a rough cooler slash food area. We're slowly getting the bedrooms built, and I think we're actually going to start moving these. So I want to reinstall this bed there. So somebody's going to get their own bedroom pretty quickly. Looks like we're really getting these bedrooms put together, which is nice. I do want to prioritize getting these things hauled. Anything that can get hauled, I want it to get hauled to the dumping area. Just so that way it's out of the way. And then, let's see. I think today's goals are going to be to start really getting the wall built. And then, I'm not sure where we're going to put the killing corridor. I mean, we're pretty much centrally located. I might put it up top, just because... Well, okay, where would the colony expand into? I think the colony is going to expand southeast. Well, actually, where's geothermal? Geothermal's up here and over here. So actually, the colony is going to expand to the northwest. So I don't think it would be a bad idea to think that we would put it here. Some sort of corridor slash field, if you will. Yeah. Okay. So if our entrance goes here, then let's go ahead. Let's also move this bed. And lastly, let's move this bed as well. Cool. So everybody's going to have bedrooms. Those beds need to be moved. Awesome. And then let's go ahead and pause really quick while we plan out kind of our area. So if we know that this is where things are going to go. So let's say 20 by 15 by 20. Okay. So then what we want is, we'll say this will be the like main area. We'll do something like that. Like that. And then what this allows us to do is effectively we'll have turrets positioned like that. So that way, basically anything that comes in will just be mowed down from multiple angles. Alright, so then let's go ahead and do structure. I really want to do wooden walls, but we don't really have what I want for that. So let's go ahead and do production. We need another building, is what we need. We need a production, like, warehouse thing. So I think for that, let's go do... Let's pull out our orders. Let's do a little bit more planning. So these are, how big? 5 by... Well, the shared wall means that much. Okay. 2 there. Okay. So that gives us some more colony rooms, and then of course we'll build a path like that we can use. Alright. So then let's go ahead and we'll build it here. So let's say we'll do something like that for now. Then of course we can always expand it. Let's go ahead and just put two doors there. Order, zone, build roof. Cool. And then structure. I think we're going to have a lot of slate. So let's go ahead. It's 15. So let's go ahead and cancel the, like, middle 3. And then I do want something like this so that it forces them to come in and they can't just like hide behind anything. That seems like a pretty good idea. And then until we get turrets, we're going to just wall this. Yeah. And then security, I do want to get... We'll use barricades. Like that. Cool. And that lets us have some cover. Awesome. And same thing here. We're just going to go ahead and put slate down, because it looks like we have a good number. We are going to have to get some bricks crafted. Now, we have already had our first raid. That's fine. The first raid is usually fairly fine. I say usually, but if that's only because if you're not playing on Cassandra Classic, you're going to probably have a little bit of a different experience than I. Alright. Cool. So, it tells us where the attack is coming from. So a group of wasters from, and it tells us whatever faction, have arrived nearby. They will prepare for a while, then attack. Prepare your defenses or attack them preemptively. Now, you can attack preemptively, which is good if you have like mortars, but until we have those, we're going to have to decide what to do. So of course it tells us where they come in at. Ancient car. Oh, that looks fun. Contains a transponder. Fun. And then, of course, it tells us that this guy's over here. His name is Kit. He's a researcher. So let's look and see how well of a person he is. Well, he is a very good doctor. He's also very intellectual. However, let's look at his other personality traits. He's too smart. He's a body modifier, so he's going to want to make sure that he's very not human. He's a quick sleeper, which works. He is a wimp. He's delicate. So delicate. Fragile skin and bones. Skilled labor. Dumb labor. Interesting. So we can't haul or clean. I guess it's a she, but she can't research, cook, construct, grow, mine. Basically, if we do decide to incapacitate and recruit, this person is worthless to us, other than being a really good doctor or researcher. Like, those are the things that this person is the best at. They can at least attack, which is good, so they're not entirely useless in a fight. But having a dedicated researcher like this would not be a bad idea. So if we do incapacitate them, I suppose we could turn this into the prison cell. There's no weapons in there, so should be fine. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and call up our people. We're just going to send them to that corner. Now, you don't usually want to keep your army. Hey, a meteorite full of silver. That's good. And meteorites can happen from time to time, which makes getting like extra resources once you fully mined out a map pretty nice. Now, as you can see, you could sit here with your army ready, but your people will get a little frustrated if they're just set, ready to do their things. Now notice, we instantly took them out. That's usually how the first goes. So we're gonna do that. But now, we need a room for a prisoner to go into. So I want you to prioritize that. I want you to prioritize that. And then lastly, I want structure, furniture, sleeping spot. This is going to be for prisoners. Yeah. The people are going to run out of things, but that's fine. Okay, and then who did I not task with something? Four Eyes. You're going to go capture him. So we do need to make sure that he stays alive. He does have a gunshot wound that he's slowly bleeding out from. So we need to make sure that he doesn't bleed out. So we are going to try to save him, if at all possible. Cool. Now everybody has beds again. Yay. Okay. Now, who's our best person for a doctor? Horn. Go make sure he doesn't die. That's the goal. Because if we can get a really good researcher immediately, that would be incredible. Between having a really strong researcher and then having a fairly good doctor, because Kit was, I think, a 14. Yeah, 14 with a burning passion for it, so that's really good. We do need food, but the potatoes aren't going to cut it. Okay. No pun intended. So we're going to go ahead and order some harvesting of plants. Are there any berries? Oh, there's a bunch of meals up here. I forgot some of these things are around the map. Let's see, the blue bushes are the berries, so we want to look for a pretty large grove. I don't want to go too far away from our camp, just because then that means the colonists will have to run quite a ways away, and if something happens and you're kind of caught out in the open with your pants down, it's not the best. So let's harvest. There are beefalo we could go try to harvest. I don't particularly want to put the workshop there. Well, oh, I already forgot. We already have this. Okay. Let's go ahead and get a wooden cutter table in there. Yeah, it's outdoors. And then I do want to get a research table going. And then for floors, we'll probably just do wooden floor like we've been doing. Just so that it's not a complete ugliness. Then we'll probably put some nice tiling down for like walkways and stuff to discern them. I do want to put a growing zone for... Yeah, it doesn't need to be very big. But I want to plant some heal root, just so that we have it. Now, it does require a skill of 8, which we don't have. But as we get growing skill, I want us to just automatically get that, because I don't want to have to worry too much. And then I also want to plant a growing zone for... Let me clear out this plan. The one thing I wish is that when you zoned things, it would clear the plan. Let's go ahead and start growing. We could grow fiber corn or cotton. I'm going to grow cotton. Just so that way we have it. Awesome. The workshop's coming along. Kit is going great. And then if we click on the prisoner tab, we could try to recruit. Now, there's a few things to note. We can determine what level of medicine that they get. We could do best medicine we have possible, or just the bare minimum, or no medicine at all. I usually leave it on herbal, because I want to save our Glitter World medicine, which is like really good. It's like actual medicine. I like to save that for us and our colonists. She has a resistance of 20, so it's fairly low. And she also has a will of 2.3, and it tells you kind of the range you could possibly get. It also tells you what could happen if we sold this prisoner as a slave, and basically how much money we'd get. Tells us what relations we've gained on release. None. She's part of a hostile faction, so even if we released her, nothing would happen. And part of the reason for that is just... You might, say, get a person who you capture during a raid, and if you released them back to that faction, they would like you a little bit for it. Then, of course, we have all these other different options we could do. We could decide to execute them. We could just release them. We could turn them into a blood farm for the vampire scenario, but none of us are vampires, so we don't have to worry about that. We could try to convert her to our ideology. So that could be something we decide to do. Well, Ideo Legion. We could reduce the will. Basically, we are going to continue to threaten them to reduce their will, but we won't enslave them. So we're basically going to mentally break them. We could enslave them. And then, of course, we could reduce resistance. And it's important that will and resistance are different. So will is basically how much are they willing to fight back if we try to enslave them? And resistance is like, well, I don't want to join you. I don't want to help you, even though, well, helping you would also just be helping myself, right? So those are important things to note, that these two are separate in those regards. Will is for enslavement, resistance is for recruitment. I usually prefer to recruit. I don't really enslave anybody in this game. I don't know. I've just never played that route. Although it is an interesting aspect to think about, even though the aspect of enslaving an individual is morally and ethically wrong. Seeing how it plays out in a video game does ask some interesting questions. But for the purposes of this series, we probably won't do any enslaving. At least not for this type of colony. Maybe during the Roman Empire colony, we'll do something like that. So quest active. So now we have a quest. So there are quests we can take on if we so choose, right? If you so choose to accept this. So beggars hope for resources. So a group of poor travelers are approaching. Now they're begging for 30 silver. They want silver so they could buy back a friend who was recently kidnapped. You can give the items to the travelers, and it just tells us how we can do it. The travelers will move on after a day. So we have basically a little bit to try to think about this. We can decide, okay, well, do we want to help these people? And now we don't know what's going to come of it. We could decide, okay, well, here's 30 silver. And we might never hear from them again, and everything would be hunky-dory. However, another possibility is they might decide to come back with more people and ask for more. And I believe there's another scenario where you give them the money and they come back and they want to take more things and they come and raid you. I'm not sure all the possible outcomes, but I do know it has several. So it is, of course, one of those moral choices. Do we decide to help them? Well, how can we help those if we cannot help ourselves? So, do we have the silver to spare? We do. We have 800. And it is only 30. I would say we could. We could help them, but do we want to? I'm going to say sure. Let's help them. We're not playing on anything that should get us too much into some trouble, so hopefully it helps us in a little while. We'll have to just see how it pans out. Another thing to note about having our defenses the way they're set up is we need to make sure that we have some entrances besides this one for our colonists, because although the enemies will pass through this, we want our colonists to have easier access into the base, and so we might put doorways that only our colonists can get through on every side, just so that way, no matter where they're from, say they're in the bottom left, they don't have to run all the way to the top right to get in here. Now let's go ahead and check the mood of our colonists. So notice we now have a dull impressiveness, so now it's at least a decent positive. We have impoverished, not great, but it's okay. An average-sized room, and the ugly factor has gone down, and the slightly dirty has also gone down. So overall, we have decent rooms. Again, nothing like, oh my god, but it's okay. And if we click on our character and we look at their needs, well, we've eaten without a table. So in order to help fix this, what I like to do is I like to put tables in the bedrooms. The reason for this is because usually the colonists will carry food on them. And so then if we check gear, there's nothing on the person right now, but when we have the survival meals, there's usually food on them because right now we're out of food. Did they ever go get this food up here? They did. Okay, so we do need to make sure we get some like actual food. Fun. I don't really want to hunt the beefalo, but I think we're going to be hunting beefalo. We could hunt the boars. Let's see, animals. Our animals, wildlife. The boar wouldn't be a bad idea, so let's go hunt boar. Okay, the boars are to be hunted. We do need a research project, so let's go ahead and assign that. I think our first one should be... Pemmican isn't a bad idea if you're traveling. Smithing isn't a bad idea. I'm going to get smithing because it will lead into machining. So we're going to research that. Also allows us to make some things. Ooh, another quest. So a dame of the Refuge Dominion is calling from nearby. Her guards were killed in an ambush. She escaped, but is now being followed by a man-hunting raccoon. But she wants you to keep her safe at Blackjackville for a few hours until her shuttle can pick her up. She will bestow 8 honor upon her. So this is effectively like the Galactic Empire. Or maybe it's the Imperium. I don't know their proper name. I just know they're effectively super advanced space people. And will receive some honor, and with the royal title of Yeoman, or Yeoman, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And all benefits that come with it, including the first level of psychic powers. So this could be something we do. We get a little bit of honor. This is potentially one of the paths we could go down to win and leave the planet. I'm going to say sure. We can accept it with anybody. Basically, I believe whoever we accept it with will get the honor and become the person. Now, I'm going to say Horn. I feel as though she is kind of our de facto leader. So, of course, now we're going to have the individual join us. We just have to protect her. She can't really do anything. But she exists. We are going to have to protect her. She doesn't have a bed, though. Cool, there's a sleeping spot. Okay. There's the raccoon. Who's a rifleman? Come on, get the raccoon. You gonna hit the raccoon? There you go. Fall back. Fall back. There we go. And then let's also go ahead and do production. Let's get a... not tailor table, where is it? Art. Let's go ahead and get a butcher table, just a wooden one. I'm going to put the butcher table on the bottom, like there. And then get an electric stove here. And I believe we can also put one here as well, yeah. Which will be nice. Because you only need that middle tile open for them to work. Okay. And then I want to decrease... currently, it's keeping this at 70. I want to get this down to 36, is I think refrigeration. And 32 is freezing. Okay. The shuttle has arrived. Cool. And we have now completed the quest. Oh, that's fun. She was researching for us. Cool, so now we've completed the quest. And now we can, of course, hold the ceremony. We're going to hold off on holding the ceremony for probably at least this episode. Alright, so it looks like everything should be fairly well. Ooh, awesome. Okay, so now that we have the stone table built, we can build a tool cabinet. The tool cabinet basically just speeds it up. However, it requires a lot of steel, and I don't really want to spend 200 steel on this just yet. However, I want to add a bill. And basically all this tells us is I want to make any stone block we have. However, because we're using slate, I'm going to do slate. We can do forever. Just for now. Just because we really just need a lot of stone bricks. You might eventually decide not to have your bill set to forever, which makes a lot of sense if you don't want to use up all your stone. So if you're building on, say, like a mountain map, you're probably not going to run out of stone. But now if you're playing on a map like this, where you do have a quite a limit on how much stone you have, then yeah. But I doubt we're going to use all of the stone on the map, at least before I notice it. And same thing here. We're going to add another bill. So on any of these production tables, you can add bills. So currently, I'm going to do butcher creature, and I want this to be forever. However, I want to set some things. I don't want to butcher human-like corpses, which thankfully is already disabled, but animal corpses, I don't want to butcher insect corpses, because insects, for whatever reason, it's turned on by default, and people do not like eating insects. We're going to go ahead and just make simple meals. We're going to do until we have X, and then this bill will stay here. So do X times, does it once, finishes, this bill is complete. Now if I do until we have X, well, it's always going to make sure that we have at least this number. Now, I like to have at least 10 meals per person. Different reports are going to say different amounts. I think another amount I've seen people say is 5 per colonist. I just like to have 10 as just a good rule of thumb. And I want to say somebody else I've also seen is like a 2.5 meals per day per person. I'm just going to set this to not 100. I'm going to set this to 30. I feel like that's a fairly standard amount of meals to have, and then we'll be fine as well. Now the potatoes are coming along. They're at 61% grown. We are going to still need to try to get some food, which is going to be important for us. Also notice we didn't have to build any power cables, so in case anybody was wondering, these things are close enough that we don't need to build any power cables, which is nice. We're basically running extension cords to the wind turbine, which is really good. So currently our colonists are there, up here in cooking, which is good, which is nice. So we're actually getting berries made, and of course now that we have simple meals, it's vegetarian, which is good, but it's also refrigerated, which is just going to help it stay so that it is fairly good. But notice, oh no, power went out, which isn't good because the wind turbine's going down, and of course we get the little notification, oh no, we need batteries, which is very true, which will be probably one of the next things we get researched after. Actually, you know, we're going to switch that, and thankfully progress is saved on research, so you don't have to worry about, oh no, we researched one thing, we got to 599, then we switched and we lost 599. Nope, it saves, which is nice. So if you ever decide, oh, I actually just want to switch, you can. Let's go ahead and harvest some more berries, like up here and here, up here as well. Do we have anybody set to hunting? No. These are priority 1 for me. Horn and Joe. I want them hunting. Only because we need meat. So they're going to be on hunting schedule. They are going to be getting berries for us, which is good, so everybody should have some meals to eat. Hey, ancient mech. Passing near the remains of an ancient exostrider mechanoid, Horn noticed an intact transponder. If you could get the transponder, we could read valuable information from it. The massive mech is smashed and fused into a solid piece. You must destroy it to retrieve the transponder. However, the incendiary weapon cells look unstable and will likely detonate after you do some damage. So this is one of those things where it's like, hey, high risk, high reward. So that's going to be something we're going to take note of. It is important, though. So it's this little blinky thing here. So it contains the transponder we want. And if we can decrypt it, we can gather some information. However, if we just do too much damage, she might go boom. So we kind of run that risk, right? Okay, let's see. Potato, the harvest is coming nicely. 67% grown. And this is one of those times where you could argue, well, I want a lot of food quickly, and rice would be your way to go. However, it provides very little nutritional value. So you're going to harvest it a lot, but you're also going to eat a lot of rice. Ooh, and we got our first thunderstorm with our first fire. So this stuff is outside of the home territory, so we don't care about it. However, if we care about all our other things, so we can see where our home area is. I'm just going to make sure that, like, this is set as home. Actually, I want it to be a little further out, just for safety. This fire could spread quite far and burn a lot of the map, including trees and other valuable things. So in times like this, I might decide to go like that, and then people are going to go put it out. Now, if it's raining like it is, it usually will die out on its own and we won't have to worry about it. And then, because I don't want this always to be in our home, we can get rid of it. And so if it's raining like it is currently, you can usually just ignore the fire. But I usually try to put it out just so that way in the early game while I'm trying to get things set up. And of course it will tell us fire, hey, that's in our area, because that tells us it's in the home area. That's the only reason we have it. And this fire will burn out on its own. You probably noticed this cool looking tree. This tree is part of some things that we'll get into shortly. And of course we can have a build radius warning, so we won't build anything here. And if we click the little eye, which tells us some information about it, so it's a rare tree. If a person, or a psychic caster or not, meditates near the tree, it will grow anima grass around its base. And once enough grass is grown, it becomes possible to carry out a psychic linking ritual with the tree and upgrade a person's psychic powers. Only tribal peoples know the secret of this ritual. Tribal psych casters are also able to draw psi focus from anima trees while meditating to them. Anima trees' psychic properties are weakened if artificial structures are placed nearby. They refuse to be caged or studied and must remain a part of nature. These trees are part of the royalty DLC, and that is something I like with RimWorld, is if something is DLC, it tells you. So you don't really have to try to guess, like, oh, is this DLC or not? Mechanics are a little bit harder to discern whether it was vanilla or DLC, although DLC in my eyes are still vanilla. But I do try to make sure that I inform you guys of what is or isn't DLC. So you can notice this. Basically, we can't build anything in this massive radius. It gets very, very angry. Ooh, we have some fire near the crop field, so it's a good thing that somebody was able to go deal with that. And notice we have our first kind of harvest of things. I don't like that they're eating raw meat, which isn't great, but eating raw meat is better than not eating any food at all. But the way it prioritizes is so they try to find meals that are made. They'll eat it if they can. If we don't have any meals, they'll default to any raw ingredients we have. So say nobody's just cooked for a while, well, they're going to default to eating some food, although it's not cooked, over not eating any food at all, which is preferable. And then if we just don't have any food, well, they're just not going to be able to eat anything. So, although I don't necessarily want them to eat raw meat, I'd rather them eat raw meat over starving. And thankfully we do have some hunting going on, which is good. We do have a minor break risk, so we do want to hit pause, just so we can see what's happening and why. So we can see that there's no elder. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have a liberal elder. Awful barracks. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You have a bed. I don't want a bed in there. So that's going to instantly solve this. It will take some time, but it should go away. They are sweaty, they are soaking wet, which is, I think, funny. And they ate without a table. So we're going to solve the eating without a table by putting a table in everybody's room. Because as mentioned earlier, by having a table in everybody's bedroom, if they are near a room that has a table, so say they're way out here, well, instead of running back to, say, the central building that has tables, like a cafeteria for them to eat, they can just come into the nearest room that has a table and eat there, and then that just negates that. So it helps. It does use quite a lot more wood because of it, but I'd rather them do that than just eat without a table. We're going to just put in a little table in their room. You could really just put it anywhere. I usually like to set it like here in the corner, and then of course put stools because they are cheaper. However, it is important to note that the dining chairs do usually, I believe, look a little bit more. Yep, it's more attractive. So because of that, I'm going to stick one in every room, and it's more of like a little desk for them. We can also put plants in everybody's room to help with the mood, so I'm going to do that as well. Cost us a little investment, and it helps pay off a little bit. We do have quite a lot of wood, so I don't have to worry too much about that. It does look like we are about out of time. A little bit longer of an episode today, but that's just kind of the nature of RimWorld as we go through these. So in today's episode, just to do a little quick recap, we did a fair amount of things. We got a workshop going. We're starting to get things produced in terms of food. We now have a nice production system going on. We're harvesting meat. We're getting meals made. Then, of course, we also have our first prisoner. So that's going to be all fine and dandy. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did, you guys know what to do. Smash the like button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, as it really helps out the channel, and it's free. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns for me, leave those down below. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace out. I'll see you guys later.